Hello, my name is Jeremy Mitchell. I am a senior at Southern New Hampshire University studying data analytics. I live in the town of Denison, Texas, which is about 75 miles north of Dallas along the Oklahoma border. I have two daughters, one in 8th grade and the other in 2nd grade. So I have a keen interest in not only standardized testing, but also education in general. You can see both my email address and phone number listed here. Please, feel free to take note of them as you may wish to reach me at a later date. Let's take a quick look at the table of contents before we get into the agenda for this presentation. As you can see, we will go over the decision structure, research questions, analytic goals, communication goals, audience, data visualization software, and numerous analytic visualizations. After viewing the visualizations, we will take a few minutes to address the positive and negative findings to date. We will then move on to the anticipated next steps before wrapping up with a closing slide. I will then provide you with an opportunity to ask questions prior to closing. The New York City Department of Education has observed noticeable variances exist in the standardized test scores of students in grades 3 through 8 in the subjects Math and English Language Arts taken during the years 2013 and 2014. The variances are causing concerns for the school board members and the children's parents/guardians. The DOE provided data so analysis could be performed to detect any patterns, trends, or anomalies which may be causing the variations. These data are recorded and categorized by the key factors: subject, Math and English Language Arts, also known as ELA; school, 1,135 campuses including public, private, parochial, and magnet schools; borough, the Bronx, Brooklyn, Manhattan, Queens, and Staten Island will be reviewed. Identifying the factors causing the test score variances of more than 800,000 students over a 2-year period required a precise decision structure. Each of the 4 segments represented in the data, citywide, borough, district, and school, has its own decision structure diagrammed and described. Each segment consists of the same number of students, though each is broken into a distinct aggregation. The decision structure for the citywide grouping of the data can be seen here. Beginning with the full dataset, the structure can then be divided by year, testing area, grade, and proficiency level. Similarly, the decision structure for the borough dataset follows the same organizational pattern, with the exception being an initial decision as to which borough is to be examined. The district slide follows the same structure, with its initial question being which district is to be examined. Finally, the school decision structure utilizes the same method again. This time, the initial question is the choice of school. Just as the decision structure is broken into 4 main groups, the research questions will also be asked and analyzed by the citywide, borough, district, and school data files. As can be seen, the questions, like the decision structures, are somewhat repetitive. Basically, for each data set, the questions are to determine the variance from 2013 to 2014 and how do those results fare when compared to similar tested populations. Throughout the analysis of the data sets, there are certain milestones expected to be met. The milestones will be measured at the completion of each of the 4 data sets, meaning there were 4 scheduled updates prior to the presentation at the conclusion of the project. The goals prepared for each area can be seen here. This is again somewhat repetitive. To summarize, the upcoming visualizations were prepared with these goals in mind. Communicate the differences between 2013 and 2014, as well as differences in test results of similar student populations. In order to keep the NYC school system aware of progress made, there were 3 communication goals. The primary goal was to provide a weekly update to the Chancellor's Quality Review Committee. This update included the latest visualizations and their support documentation. The committee would then approve, disapprove, or request adjustments to be made. Success was measured by their approval. The most recent approved sections were then included in the second communication goal, which was to review them with the school board at their normal monthly meetings. This served as a sanity check to ensure the visualizations were easily understood. If changes were required, those visualizations were amended, then reviewed by the Quality Review Committee again. Visualizations accepted by the school board passed to the third and final communication goal, the delivery and presentation of these final results. As stated in the previous section, the initial audience was members of the Chancellor's Quality Review Committee and subsequently the school board. However, the report and its visualizations have been prepared in a manner to be understood by a wider public audience. This will require a simplified presentation. Jargon not used outside of the education field, specifically in standardized testing, has been avoided. The visualizations have also been kept straightforward to provide the most effective communication. They are concise and consistent. To create effective visualizations and properly convey the numerical results of the test score analysis, the appropriate software tools have been applied. For this presentation, JMP and Tableau were the applications of choice. The initial model choice involved JMP, its prediction scatter plots indicating why specific models were chosen will be included. Tableau served as the primary visualization tool. It carries the ability to create charts and graphs which not only enrich, but also translate the data being shared with the audience. Variances in significantly low standardized test scores across the NYC school system have raised the concerns of both school officials and parents/guardians. Of particular interest are reasons why test scores dropped within the same group of students from one school year to the next, as notated in these visualizations. Analysis of the math test scores by borough, district, and individual schools provided valuable insight into areas that will highlight the most proficiencies. This is the comparison of New York City citywide standardized math exams versus New York State, Iowa, Kentucky, Nebraska, and Texas math exams for grades 3 through 8 in 2013. Mathematics scores are lower for the city overall compared to ELA in the same time period. The state's proficiency level exceeds the city in grades 3, 4, and 6. Take note of the disparity between New York scores and those of Iowa, Kentucky, and Texas. While there is no common standardized test for all states, the exams given in these 4 states are deemed to be comparable. This slide is the comparison of New York City citywide standardized math exams versus New York State, Iowa, Kentucky, Nebraska, and Texas math exams for grades 3 through 8 in 2014. The second year of testing shows another decline in proficiency scores for the city, only exceeding the state's results in grades 7 and 8. Variances and significantly low standardized test scores across the New York City school system have raised the concerns of both school officials and parents. Again, of particular interest are reasons why test scores dropped within the same group of students from one school year to the next, as notated in these visualizations. Analysis of the ELA test scores by borough, district, and individual schools provided valuable insight into areas that will highlight the most proficiencies. This is a comparison of New York City citywide standardized ELA exams versus New York State, Iowa, Kentucky, Nebraska, and Texas ELA exams for grades 3 through 8 in 2013. All 5 states use their own standardized tests. Most notable for the New York City school system is the disparity between the city's results and the rest of the state of New York. The city's students show better proficiency in all 6 grades. This slide represents a comparison of New York City citywide standardized ELA exams versus those of New York State, Iowa, Kentucky, Nebraska, and Texas ELA exams for grades 3 through 8 in 2014. The second year of ELA testing remains to show a large difference in the proficiency scores between New York and the other states. However, the disparity between New York City and the rest of the state changed slightly. Grades 4 and 6 are even, and the state passed the city for 8th grade. This slide represents the New York City Borough math test scores for 2013. Note that students in the Bronx have a significant lead in math. In large part, this can be attested to the concentration of gifted and talented schools located within this borough. Although it is the 3rd highest median household income of the 5 boroughs, it is also the most stable economically. Additionally, it is home to the nation's fastest 4G network. Perhaps these students are also benefiting from a technological advantage. Here are the New York City Borough math results for 2014. Although the lead was shortened slightly in the second year of testing, the Bronx consistently leads all boroughs, indicating it is the borough in which to begin research for best practices in mathematics. The visualization also reveals those boroughs needing additional assistance. This is a visualization of the NYC Borough ELA 2013 results. The Bronx outpaces all of the boroughs by double-digit percentage points in the initial year of core competency ELA testing. Next, we have the NYC Borough ELA results for 2014. In the second year of testing, the Bronx maintains its commanding lead. This indicates that initial research into ELA best practices should begin in this borough. This analysis also reveals Staten Island as the borough needing the most assistance. Here's the visualization for New York City District Math in 2013. An alarming disparity is seen in the math standardized test scores, with a low mark of only 8.2% scoring proficiency in District 26 and a high of 59.4% in District 7. The need for best practice sharing in the school system is apparent. These are the test results for the New York City District Math in 2014 exams. The proficiency scores in the second year of standardized testing dropped surprisingly, shining more light on the need for better sharing of methods for mathematics instruction. Here we have the NYC District ELA 2013 scores. Looking at the city in terms of its 32 districts in the first year of ELA core competency testing reveals a large disparity in variance, which has been found to be disturbing. This slide represents the New York City District ELA 2014 results. Large disparities are still evident in the second year of ELA standardized testing. However, this analysis allows pinpointing of the districts within each borough for best practices research, as well as those requiring the most assistance in English language arts. Regression models based on 2013 and 2014 math and ELA results from all 5 boroughs were utilized to prepare these prediction plots. When determining if certain statistics are good predictors of a set of expectations, R² measures the proportion of the variation and a dependent variable explained by the independent variables of a linear regression model. Adjusted R² adjusts the statistic based on the number of independent variables in the model. In the test scores dataset, the percentage of students scoring a level 1 proficiency is the Y variable. These tests indicate the models are accurate for predicting the proficiency percentage with the qualitative variables borough, grade, and year, and the quantitative variables number of students tested and mean scale score. The adjusted R² is preferable in this situation because there are a large number of coefficients and the sample size is also large. Regression analysis models based on 2013 and 2014 ELA and math results from all 32 districts were used to generate these prediction plots. These tests indicate the models are accurate for predicting the proficiency percentage. The qualitative variables district, grade, and year, and the quantitative variables number tested and mean scale score were used to create this predictive model. Again, the adjusted R² test is preferable due to the large sample size and quantity of predictive variables. These are interactive regression models based on 2013 and 2014 ELA and math results from all 5 boroughs. This model was created using an interaction between the number of students tested and the mean scale score. If an interaction between 2 variables produces a model that better predicts outcomes, those variables are said to have a correlation. That is the case in this instance. These tests indicate the models are more accurate for predicting the level 1 proficiency percentage. Again, the adjusted R² is preferable in this situation because there are a large number of coefficients and the sample size is also large. This is another interactive regression model based on 2013 and 2014 ELA and math results from all 5 boroughs. This model was created using an interaction between the number of students tested and the mean scale score. These tests indicate the models are slightly more accurate for predicting the proficiency percentage. Again, the adjusted R-squared is preferable in this situation because there are a large number of coefficients and the sample size is also large. Analysis of the school data set created a regression equation which described the effect each school has on the level 1 proficiency for the city as a whole. These schools are the top 10 in terms of how they positively affected the New York City proficiency. Single-digit percentage increases in these schools are predicted to increase the New York City level 1 overall proficiency by the number listed in the positive impact column. The reliability of the models shown in the scatterplot diagrams indicate these are the schools which should be emulated, begging the question, what is being done on these campuses that can be used in the others? With the good also comes the bad. Unfortunately, the same analysis reveals which school performances would predictably bring the overall proficiency down. These 10 are the poorest performers. Single-digit percentage decreases in these schools are predicted to decrease the New York City level 1 overall proficiency by the number listed in the negative impact column. These are the campuses which need help immediately. This should be addressed prior to the full investigation of what can be shared. With those results in mind, here are the recommended next steps. In-depth investigations must be conducted by teams or committees on each of the 4 levels. At the city level, it needs to be determined what other cities throughout the state and those in other states are doing to educate and prepare their students. For the borough level, Brooklyn shows the best results. Let's find out what they are doing right. For the district, there's a high variance evident when examining the district level visualizations. What separates the 50+% performers from those under 10%? And at the school, there should be an interview of the teachers and faculty from the top performing schools to identify the teaching methods and best practices they are using. Once those ideas have been identified, they should be converted to training programs for best practice sharing. At the city level, a task force will bring the findings from the research to share with the borough teams. The borough teams will work together to assemble what has been learned during the investigation phase into a best practices manual. The district teams will be created to assess which schools within the district need specific training to address low performance. And at the school level, individual faculty members will be trained in the lessons learned throughout the investigation. At this point, I will open the floor for any questions you may have. If there are no further questions, I'd like to close with a few observations. This project was commissioned due to 2 concerns from both the New York City school system as well as from parents. Test score variance from 2013 to 2014 and the disparity between schools. The findings show there was a small difference between the testing years, which can be attributed to the change in the testing format used in order to comply with a new national standard. The primary concern should be the large gap between the top and bottom schools and the vast array of results seen in between. Throughout the visualizations, there have been both wonderful and sobering facts brought to light. Do not let the indicators of poor performance overshadow the bright spots. Focus on the task at hand. Investigate and explore the methods used by the faculty, students, and parents, and the schools that outperform the others. Every step, every lesson they use has the potential to be used as an advantage throughout the city. Simply execute the plan. Every child deserves a chance to succeed. As long as the variances remain so distorted, some children are being left behind. Thank you for the opportunity to participate in this project.